Hey, what's up? 2 years ago, and a lot less hair ago, I put out a video called Hiding My Sexuality After Coming Out.
I am struggling right now with being out, and I've been out for 5 years.
For some reason, this video popped into my head, and I thought, I wonder if I gave any suggestions, any helping tips if you were in a situation like that. So I rewatched the video this morning and I realized that I was fully in it at that time. I didn't have suggestions, I didn't have any helpful tips. I was just expressing myself.
This isn't a video to help you if you are also struggling with this, because I really don't know. Maybe it's just a video for us to relate.
And while that is perfectly fine for me to do because that's what I do on my YouTube channel, I also wanted to create a video that if you were going through this, you could come to and you could find support, you could find tips, you can find ideas on how to get yourself out of a situation like that. If you haven't seen that video, I will give you a little bit of a backstory on how I ended up feeling this way. And then we can talk about what to do if you do find yourself in a similar situation. So in that video and during that time in my life, I was running my own small business, and it was a social media management business. So I was working with clients and other small businesses locally in the area that I lived in. I did not live in LA at the time, which is where I live now. I lived in my small town where I'm from. It isn't a super small town, and it is still California, so a little more liberal than maybe somewhere else, but still small town vibes, and straight is the norm. At this time, I had just moved back from LA to this small town, to my hometown, and while my hometown is very open-minded and there are gay people there and it's very close to San Francisco, it is still very straight. There isn't a huge gay community. There are shops that support LGBT community by putting flags so that you know. There are places like that, but it isn't a huge community. It is still very, very small there, and the majority of people that you run into are straight. It is just very different than strolling through West Hollywood and knowing that the majority of the people there are in the LGBT community and you can feel safe and comfortable for the most part. A lot of my clients owned businesses that were clothing stores and medical cosmetics, workout studios, and they were very girly, I could say. Like, let's be real. A lot of it that I was working for were very girly clients. They had husbands, they were married, they had kids, some of them even religious. So I tried to keep, you know, my personal life out of it, even though my social media, obviously I post a lot about being queer, and my business was helping people with their social media. So I did share my YouTube and my Instagram, but at the time I had never really shared my TikTok because TikTok was still something new for me, and although I was growing pretty rapidly, these businesses were not using TikTok yet. So I would show them my YouTube and my Instagram, and I wouldn't dive deep into it or anything. I would just send them the links, and then when they chose to work with me, then I would just mostly focus on their stuff. So I never really got into conversation of my personal life, and nor did I need to, but there were times when I would be working with these clients and I would find myself dressing a certain way around them, talking a certain way around them, when they would say, "Oh, you've got to meet my nephew, like he's the cutest, you would love him." I wouldn't turn down the offer. I would just kind of be like, "Oh yeah, maybe." So I was put in these situations where I felt like I had to hide who I was. And I don't think everyone needs to know my sexuality, but at the same time, it wasn't comfortable lying about it either. In this time, I was just extremely insecure with meeting new people because I knew at some point they would find out my sexuality, and I didn't know if my relationship with them would change because of it. It was scary because I have had situations with friends where we used to have sleepovers all the time, and then they found out my sexuality and they never spent the night again, or they would and they'd put pillows in between us. Or I've had people tell me, "Oh, it's a phase," even into my adulthood. I've had people push their religious views on me. It is very scary to be told that you're doing something wrong. Whether you believe it or not, like, I know I'm not doing anything wrong, but it is scary because you don't know what other people are gonna do. And so I was going through a really hard time figuring out what to do and how to go about meeting new people, making new friends, and all of that. That's where I was, and that's what I went through. Two things that have changed since then is I do not work with clients as much anymore. If I do work with clients, it is for like a photography gig, and I go in, go out, and I don't have to work with these people on a consistent basis. The other thing that has changed is I moved to LA again. I think that was a big thing for me that I needed to do, not just because of my sexuality, but because of my career as well. But it did change how I go about presenting my sexuality. Like I said, it's not something that needs to be presented in every situation, but I'm not as afraid here. And I think that's something that we need to talk about going into this next section of the video. What do we do when we find ourselves afraid to be ourselves? I always say, if you are not in a place to come out, don't do it. If you are not in a safe place to come out, don't do it. I think you truly need to be fully comfortable with yourself, and you also need to be fully safe. My biggest tip for something like this is, and I know this isn't available to everybody, but if you are of age and you can move out of wherever you're living, I would do it. I would move somewhere where you know you're gonna feel more confident being yourself, and you're gonna be safe being yourself for the most part. Obviously, we can't control who comes in and out of safe spaces. All we can control is ourselves. And if we know, LA has a very heavy gay area and you feel safe there, then you can do that. I know Chicago has a very great LGBT community, and I know there are many other places as well. There are tons of places that you can go. And I think that was one thing that really helped me feel confident and comfortable in my sexuality and presenting my sexuality, was where I was located. It is so unfortunate. You shouldn't have to hide yourself, but our sad reality of this world is that sometimes you do. And there are places that it is not safe to be. And so my number one tip is truly, if you have the opportunity to move somewhere where you know you'll be safe, I would highly recommend it. The other thing is to find your community. If you are in a place where it isn't super safe to come out, or where you are unsure, find your community. There are places online that you can look. You can honestly go on Tinder and meet people and just say, oh, I'm looking for friends, or like Bumble BFF or whatever, and put in your bio like LGBT so that people know right away. That is my next biggest tip, is find a community. Because even when I was living in Northern California, and like I said, Northern California is a safe place for LGBT people. It is not an unsafe place as far as that goes, but for me, it just didn't feel as comfortable as LA. And I had lived in LA before and knew how comfortable it felt, and so that's why I moved back. But for the most part, it is a safe place. But I did find my community there, and it helped me get through this. It helps to have a community because it helps you talk with people. It helps you feel like, okay, even if I don't feel completely comfortable at work, at least I can go somewhere after work and feel super safe and feel like I can talk about this, and others in the community can share their feelings, and you guys can bond over that. And it just makes living so much easier to have a community of people that understand you, that get you, and that want to help you. And my third tip is, if you are in a safe place, like I was in a safe place in Northern California, find your confidence and find your security within yourself and vibrate through that confidence. There is no need to hide who you are if you are in a safe place. If you are feeling insecure and you know you're in a safe place, but for some reason you still feel that pressure to hide who you are, I have been there, I get it. I think you have to start working with yourself and talking to somebody. Maybe you can find a LGBT friendly therapist and start working through why you feel that insecure or why you feel unsafe in a safe place. I think that is something that I could have done while I was in that place. When my clients did find out that I was gay, nothing had changed, and it was definitely a me thing, but You are totally entitled to your own feelings, and it's okay to feel however you feel. So don't think that your feelings aren't valid. Just know that there are ways to work through your feelings. Your feelings are valid, but you can still work on it and you can still get through those feelings. So those are my tips if you are going through a situation like this. I hope it was helpful. I know it's a lot easier said than done, but take it from someone who has gone through this. Take those steps, make those changes in your life, and I promise you, you will feel so much more secure, and in doing so, you're gonna have the freedom within yourself to be yourself, and it's gonna feel so much better. So I hope this video was helpful. Again, let me know in the comments if you have felt like this, if you feel this way, and if you're working through it, what steps you're taking. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.